Imagine you could capture light, not photograph it, not draw it, but transmit it, alive, in motion, through the air to anywhere in the world. It sounded like madness. It was 1884, and a young German named Paul Nipkow had just invented something that no one yet knew the purpose of: a disc, perforated, spinning at high speed. He called it the electrosis telescope, the electric telescope. Nipkow was 23 years old, broke, and his patent was never commercialized. He died in 1940 without witnessing what his idea had become. But without that obscure disc, nothing that followed would have been possible. Because television was not invented by one person. It was torn from the future by a silent war between geniuses, some celebrated, others forgotten. A battle that lasted decades, crossed continents, destroyed fortunes and reputations. And at the center of this war were two radically opposing visions of what television would be. One was mechanical, the other was electronic, and only one could win. The first to turn theory into image was an eccentric Scotsman named John Logie Baird. It was January 1926, London, an attic in Soho, cluttered with wires, hat boxes, old cans, and a dismantled bicycle. Baird had built his prototype from garbage, literally: knitting needles, candle wax, a lens from a broken pair of glasses. Members of the Royal Institution were summoned to witness the experiment. They expected a hoax. What they saw left them speechless. On the small, flickering screen, a human face blinked. Distorted, grainy, barely recognizable, but it was a face. It was movement. It was light transformed into signal, and signal transformed back into light. Baird had done the impossible. But there was a problem he didn't yet know about. His system was mechanical. It depended on spinning disks, moving parts, physical limitations that would never allow images sharp enough. He had arrived first, but he had arrived with the wrong tool. And while Baird celebrated in the newspapers, 6,000 miles away in the state of Idaho, a 14-year-old boy was sketching diagrams in the dirt of a potato farm. His name was Farnsworth. Farnsworth had no laboratory, no degree, no money. What he had was an idea that came to him while plowing a field. Staring at the parallel rows of turned earth, he realized, what if an image could be scanned line by line, like the furrows of a field? Not with mechanical parts, but with beams of electrons, invisible, fast as light. It was 1921. He was 14 years old. 6 years later, on September 7, 1927, Farnsworth switched on his system for the first time in a small laboratory in San Francisco. The image that appeared on the screen was simple, a straight line, just one line. But it was a line drawn by electrons, no moving parts, no disks, no mechanical limits. His assistant asked, "What did we transmit today?" Farnsworth didn't hesitate. A $sign. He knew what he had created, and he knew the fight to keep it had just begun. Because there was a third force in this story, a force with power, money, and a hunger for control. David Sarnoff, president of RCA, the largest communications corporation in the world, a man who had built an empire on radio and who saw television as the next throne. Sarnoff had under his command the most famous scientist in America, Vladimir Zworykin, a Russian émigré who had developed his own electronic television system, and who, years later, would admit to having seen Farnsworth's notes before developing his own tube. The battle that followed lasted more than a decade. RCA tried to buy Farnsworth. He refused. They tried to intimidate him. He stood firm. They filed lawsuits claiming Zworykin had invented the system first. But there was an unexpected witness. Farnsworth's high school chemistry teacher, Justin Tolman, had kept, for years, a worn notebook. Inside it, The original diagrams drawn by that 14-year-old boy in Idaho in 1921, diagrams that proved with technical precision that Farnsworth had conceived the electronic television system before anyone else on Earth. The court ruled in Farnsworth's favor. But a legal victory was not a real victory. RCA stalled licensing negotiations until Farnsworth's patents began to expire. When they finally paid, it was too late for him to accumulate the wealth he deserved. Farnsworth grew ill, indebted, forgotten. In 1969, sitting with his family in their living room, he watched live on television as the Apollo 11 astronauts landed on the moon. He turned to his wife and said, "It was worth it." He died 2 years later, without most people ever knowing his name. But the story of television doesn't end with patents and courtrooms. It ends, or rather begins, in every living room, every bedroom, every screen we now carry in our pocket. Nipkow's perforated disc, Baird's chaotic attic in Soho, the furrows of a potato field that inspired a 14-year-old boy, the Cold War between a lone inventor and a corporate empire. All of it fused together to create not just a technology, but a new form of human experience. Television didn't simply transmit images, it transmitted wars, transmitted dreams, transmitted humanity's first steps on the moon, transmitted the fall of walls, transmitted the first cries of newborns to families across oceans. It changed what it means to witness. And it all began with a spinning disc, a cluttered attic, and a boy who looked at rows of Earth and saw the future. The next time you turn on a screen, any screen, remember, someone spent their entire life fighting for that moment to exist, and almost no one knows his name.